Senator, thank you all for coming out to fight this gun violence national epidemic. We got as the senator said, the assault weapons ban must happen, but it's not just about that. It's about handguns as well that show up in each of our corners every week, particularly on weekends. Handguns show up, and the result is deadly. Right? Luckily, in the 34th precinct, up to date, we haven't had one homicide. We're in the 33rd precinct. It breaks off right there on 179th Street. There's been several here in the 33rd, but it's a long way from where we were back in the 80s and 90s, where over 100 homicides, one year 122 homicides occurred in the 34th precinct. But one is too many. One is too many. So we got to fight not just to ban the semi-automatic weapons, bump stocks. We got to also full background check. But handguns could be concealed. Their young people have access to them, and unfortunately, they end up in our corners in a deadly way. Now, I sponsored the Ghost Guns bill. You ought to know about this. Ghost guns, unfortunately, are the guns of the future. Like the president said when he enacted regulations through ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, restricting gun laws and restricting them and holding them the same way you will hold accountable to a regular firearm. If you buy a chair or a dining set in a furniture store and you assemble it, at the end of the day, that's what you got. But when you get a ghost gun and you assemble it in your home with no serial number to trace it, no ability to know who has it and what they will do with it, when you do that, you assemble it, you end up with a 9mm weapon in your hand. And so that should be outlawed. We got to cut the powder trail, not just from the semi-automatic weapons and the handguns now, but also ghost guns. So now we're working, because it was done administratively through an executive order, we're working to codify that, and I lead the legislation to codify it, to make it permanent into law, so that no president now or in the future will be able to turn back the clock on that. So we must do that. There's lots that needs to happen, and it seems that it takes a horrible tragedy for the awareness to go up, but it should not. We should be outraged every single day. Every single day we should be outraged about this, and we should never accept the fact that our kids are killing each other and have access to handguns and semi-automatic weapons across the country. I cannot understand the mind frame of why should someone carry an AK-47, an AR-15, and I see some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle wear their lapel pins with an AR-15 the day after a tragedy such as the ones that we've seen across the country. It's reprehensible that occurs, and we're going to continue to fight and push back to make sure all of us, but most particularly our children, are safe in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressmember. Fight like hell in Washington, D.C. Let me turn to Al Taylor, our State Assembly member. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being out here. I'm going to be very quick. You've heard the legislative process. You know we're fighting. I want to talk to the parents that are out here right now. It's the parents. You're the link that's going to help us. We want to remind our kids it's okay to be not okay. It's okay to not get along, but we want to make sure that we're in their lives in such a way that if someone is bullying them, if someone's doing something in their lives that's bothering them, because there are two things that are happening here. Our kids have a low self-esteem, and there is the highest rate of suicide amongst black boys and girls, followed by Latinos. But the other part of that, the crime where we see, as the congressman pointed out, yes, we want to get rid of the ARs, but we also want to get rid of those guns. And then when they end up in somebody's hand, whether it's your child or somebody else's child, let them know that they can talk to you, that somebody has a weapon. Let them know that someone has said something that may cause something, because we have to get way down, and I'm going to leave right after this. When we just got our kids, right? When I say we just got our kids, they start to move around the house. We have to child-proof the house, right? We have to get on the floor and make sure they're not going in the cabinet, make sure they're not going in the drawers. We got to put those things in the socket to keep them safe. We have to do the same thing now. We have to make sure when they're spending the night somewhere, when they're out, how was your day? What's up? Let's talk to each other. We are the link that's going to change. I have not seen one thing that, like today, it's like, that's so horrific. What in the world could happen more that would make people say, enough is enough? I don't know that we're there yet, because the people in power on the other side of the aisle do not seem to understand or give a damn. It's going to be us. So I encourage us to keep the pressure, continue to do those things that are transformative, love on your kids, and invite their kids, your kids' friends to come over and hang out with you. Make sure they're safe spaces, and we can start to change that narrative. Old school teaching and preaching. God bless you all.
Thank you, Al. So I'm going to turn it over to Joanna Garcia, our Chief of Staff. She's going to run the rest of the program, introduce the other partners here today.